check out ESPN Film's newly released 30 for 30 podcast. From the producers of our award-winning documentary series, this is an amazing collection of sports stories you need to hear to believe. Speaking of amazing, Delta Airlines and the Fly Delta app make your travel experience amazingly easy with real-time bag tracking, e-boarding, and passport scanning during check-in. And don't forget to download 30 for 30 podcast to fill your flight with stories that will keep you coming back for more.
Up next on SportsCenter, KD returns to OKC less than 100%. Will his health or OKC's struggling big three be a bigger factor in who wins tonight's showdown? Joel Embiid joins the show, where there will be no drama between him and Ben Simmons over who is the new face of the Sixers franchise. A Thanksgiving tradition continues in Dallas, why Dak says he's not rattled by the Cowboys' losing streak. And on the 5th anniversary of the infamous butt fumble, is there any not top 10 play in history that can top it?
Your fiance's going to lose her mind. Your mother-in-law is going to lose her mind. Your mom is going to lose her mind.
And there is a look at our nightly rundown. Around here, we like to call it our 6 at 6, including what you may call a couple of curious quarterback moves, Chip Kelly's next move, while the hits just keep on coming for the Clippers.
Yeah, there was concern Kevin Durant might not play tonight against Oklahoma City, but those fears appear to be unwarranted. Durant was upgraded to probable this afternoon. He told our own Chris Haynes that he definitely planned on playing tonight. That shouldn't be particularly shocking, given the opponent. Here's KD and Draymond about tonight.
Mainly everybody want to hear is the drama, so I think I'm tired of just telling them how much I love basketball, how much I love growing as a basketball player, as a man here, but eventually somebody will get it.
He was pissed off. Everyone around him was pissed off, including us. They were pissed off, and I think it's had more time to settle. They got PG, they got Melo. It's allowed them to kind of move forward.
All right, Shelly Smith now joining us from OKC. So what is the latest? Is Durant playing tonight or what?
Jamel Michael, all systems are a go. Yes, he told everybody this afternoon that he feels good. He is going to play. But as you know, never trust the athlete because they will tell you anything. If they want to play, they say they're going to play. I'm fine. My ankle's 100%. Go to the trainers. The trainers did tell me this afternoon he looks good. They would not take a chance if they thought he could risk further injury to that ankle. And you know how tendons and ligaments can be. You antagonize them, they get worse, they don't get better. But they say he's ready to go. He'll play tonight. And I can't imagine him missing this game. It's too much fun playing against your former teammates where the vile and the insults and the crack-macking is so bad and so awful sometimes that you got to play. And so he knows that. It was so bad last year. His mother was in tears. We don't know if she'll be here tonight, but he's ready for it.
Well, to that end, you said never trust the athlete. OKD has said this is just a regular game for him now. Nobody really believes that. How would you describe his demeanor on his second trip to OKC?
Kevin Durant doesn't change a whole lot. I don't care if he's walking through a tornado-ravaged part of the city or if he's here talking to fans. You just don't see a whole lot of emotion from him. So you don't know. I know Russell Westbrook was out here warming up early. He's been doing that early for home games. He's ready for this game. I'm sure Kevin Durant feels some extra emotion. You'd be hard-pressed not to feel any extra emotion for this kind of game tonight. So, whether his mom's here or not, I'm sure he's ready to play, and he will be himself. He will be himself the whole time.
Thank you, cuz. Appreciate you. All right, look for a minute there like the Thunder were starting to turn the corner. Then they lost back-to-back games to the Spurs and Pelicans. OKC's biggest issue this year is closing in the clutch. Thus, they are 0-8 in games decided by 8 or fewer. So if they manage to keep tonight's game close, perhaps they can claim victory over the Warriors in a regular season game for the first time in 3 seasons. 0-7 against current company.
They're still coming together. It's not easy to put a group together and expect it to click right away. So they're still figuring everything out, but they've got a good look. I mean, you watch them. I watched the game the other night, that first quarter. They came out guns blazing, and they're just having a harder time sustaining it right now, but they'll get there. And we kind of went through the same thing last year when KD arrived here. You got to incorporate a guy who is going to shoot the ball a lot. It's not an easy thing to do, so they're figuring it out.
Mark Jackson's on the call tonight. Mark, how confident are you that this group figures it out in OKC?
Well, I think at the end of the day, talent prevails, and this is a team that has three guys that can take over a game at any point. They have an outstanding coach in Billy Donovan. I'm confident that at some point they will find a rhythm and put together a run together and be relevant and dangerous come playoff time.
How much of this, though, Mark, is on Russell Westbrook? Because last year the narrative was that Russ didn't have enough talent around him. This year he has a lot of talent. So how much specifically is he to blame for their sluggish beginning?
Well, I don't think he's to blame at all. I think it's a combination. It's not easy to win in this league. I don't care how much talent you have. At the end of the day, it has to be chemistry. It has to be a team on one accord. You got to be tied together, and you got to be willing to compete and be committed to it. Right now, this is a team trying to find themselves. Russell Westbrook is the MVP of this league, and he's the MVP for a reason. I think at some point, if you're a Thunder fan, it starts tonight. He's got to separate himself and begin to take control of this basketball team and let the other guys catch up to him. But he's got to play with that reckless abandonment that we're used to seeing him play with.
All right. Thank you, Mark. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, now the hottest team in the NBA, the Celtics, face the Heat tonight, riding a 16-game win streak. Boston is the third team to win 16 straight within the first 18 games, joining the 2015-16 Warriors and 1970-71 Bucks. Boston has had to fight for the wins, though. The Celtics have 5 victories where they've trailed by double digits. In fact, they've done so in each of their last 3 games. Now, Kyrie Irving, he's come up pretty big in late in games too. Clutch time is the last 5 minutes of the game with the score between 5 points during the streak. Irving has scored 62 in the clutch, and that's only in 28 minutes of play. Joining us now with, I'm sure, a clutch report, Coley Harvey in Miami. So how are the Celtics dealing with all the attention that they're getting from this streak?
Yeah, they're not dealing with it very well, at least not the way that I would anticipate. They're trying to just totally silence the outside. They're trying to just deal with it on individual game-by-game basis. In fact, I pressed Kyrie Irving a little bit on that today about the fact that they are looking at this moment by moment. Those are his words. We're trying to stay in the present. We're not trying to go too far ahead. We're not trying to think about what we've done in the past either. And Brad Stevens is kind of where that begins. He is the one that says, hey, it goes to the rest of the coaching staff to making sure that they're only focused on the individual games ahead of them. So right now they're looking at the Miami Heat. They're not looking at who's next on the radar. They're not looking at trying to get 17 or 18. They're just trying to win tonight. They don't care if this particular win does add to the winning streak. But again, I don't know if I'm completely buying that, but that is exactly what the Celtics are saying right now.
And way to remain skeptical. That's what a reporter is supposed to do.
When you're watching the Celtics, make sure you wait for it. Offensive rating of 111.2 in second halves of games, second only to Golden State. Coley, we appreciate it, man. Hey, breaking news within the hour in ESPN. Emphasis, unfortunately, on breaking, as ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports that Clippers starting point guard Patrick Beverley done for the season after undergoing microfracture and meniscus surgeries on his right knee Wednesday morning. Beverley had missed 5 straight games before returning to play 22 minutes in the Clippers' 9th straight loss and had some harsh words after.
But first, let's get you caught up on some interesting NFL news. Let's start with my 49ers, who announced today that C.J. Beathard will be the starter this week against the Seahawks. And why not? He's on a 1-game winning streak. Still no Jimmy Garoppolo, who the 49ers traded for almost a month ago for a second-round pick. By the way, Kyle Shanahan told reporters that he made the QB announcement today because there wasn't a competitive advantage to be gained. Show me the lie. Meanwhile, in Buffalo, Bills coach Sean McDermott announced today that Tyrod Taylor will start against Kansas City. This, of course, comes less than a week after McDermott turned to 5th-round rookie quarterback Nathan Peterman, who threw 5 picks in the first half against the Chargers. Here's McDermott on calling switch.
And when you go through the situation and where we are and where we're going, I feel like it's the right thing for this team. Just like a week ago, I felt like the right thing for the team was to start Nate. I feel like the right thing for this team is to start Tyrod.
Like I said, you never let things surprise you. My focus has still been the same. I'm going to continue to be the leader that I am, the player that I am week in and week out. As a team, that's more important. As a team, we got to fix what we haven't done right the last 3 weeks, and let's get back on the winning side of the scoreboard. And I think guys in this locker room, but I know guys in this locker room are ready to go out there and fix that.
All All right, and finally, a non-quarterback related move. The Chiefs signed Darrelle Revis to a 2-year deal today. According to a report from NFL Network, Revis is not receiving any fully guaranteed money for 2018, so his signing is at minimum for just 2017. FYI, whatever Revis' contract is with the Chiefs will be offset from the $6 million owed to him by the Jets. By the way, Chiefs 28th in passing yards. Let's see if he can help with that. On to some college. Florida or UCLA, which one should Chip Kelly choose? Mark Schlabach reported that Kelly, now an ESPN analyst, met with UCLA officials about becoming the Bruins' next head coach. This came a few days after Kelly reportedly met with Florida representatives to discuss taking that head coaching job. So in other words, life is pretty good for you if you're Chip Kelly. Now, as someone who has covered a few head coaching searches in her day, I know that life isn't necessarily easy for you, Ed Aschoff, because it can be quite a scramble, right? Figuring out.
It's a good combination you got working at.
What's true and what's not. The most important thing, the good combination. But looking at this decision that Chip Kelly has to make, one, when is he expected to make it? And two, what would be the biggest deciding factor in him making that decision?
Yeah, well, when talking to people close to kind of both sides of this with Chip Kelly, with Florida and UCLA, it seems like a comfort thing. You know, a lot of coaches around the Pac-12 have told me that it just seems like a natural fit for Chip Kelly to be back on the West Coast. He has more ties there. He's obviously familiar with the Pac-12, considering he was at Oregon for so long. And then when you look at the Florida side of things, they can offer a little bit more money. The recruiting ground in the state of Florida and in Georgia and in the Southeast is much more fertile than what he'd have in California and the surrounding areas. So when it comes to a talent standpoint, a lot of people say that Florida might be the best option. But for comfort, it could be UCLA.
All right, let's go to the SEC and another potential vacancy. Kevin Sumlin said that he has not had any recent discussions about his future at Texas A&M less than 24 hours after a Houston Chronicle report indicated that he would be fired, win or lose, after the Aggies' regular season finale against LSU. While making his weekly appearance on the SEC Coaches Teleconference, Sumlin was asked about the Chronicle's report, but said he hasn't spoken to Aggies Athletic Director Scott Woodward this week.
We'll deal with it the way we've dealt with everything this year. And we'll continue to do business as usual. And like I said, I think that our staff and our coaches have done a nice job of handling it.
Ed, what are you hearing about Sumlin's status at A&M?
Yeah, when talking with him earlier today, I mean, it seems like he's a guy who is trying to get his team completely focused on this week. And outside of that, you know, not talking to your AD since the game last Saturday, I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign, but in talking with some people around the league, it just seems like sooner rather than later a move is going to happen at Texas A&M. And really, the irony of this is that Kevin Sumlin has had a good record, but it's been late season collapses that have just kind of doomed him the last couple of seasons. This year, his team is actually playing better during the latter part of the season and growing with a lot less talent around it than he's had the previous two.
Hey girl, have you done something new with your scales? Using new moisturizer? Nice. It really brings out the hazel in your eyes. Oh, hold on. Are you using whitening strips too? Your fangs look good, girl. Really good.
A really charming snake charmer? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Wait, what? Have you been doing Pilates too?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Detroit's finest, Jalen Rose, now joins us. Now, Jalen, you know better than anybody. There's an ebb and a flow to the NBA season. Things tend to pick up a little bit after Christmas, maybe after the All-Star break. You go through some dog days. So you're looking at the Celtics with this incredible win streak right now, and it's just November. So how meaningful should we consider a 16-game win streak that's taking place this early in the season?
Michael, and the Emmy Award-winning Jemele Hill.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Congratulations. That's truly an honor. Here's the thing. The Boston Celtics, once they lost Gordon Hayward, I, like everyone else, tried to lower expectations. They lost their first 2 basketball games. And then all of a sudden, this amazing win streak, which is predominantly done on the defensive side of the basketball. They're first in that category. They're 20th in overall offensive efficiency. And the way they're closing basketball games, in particular Kyrie Irving, has just been phenomenal. Sharing the ball, Also, multiple people getting involved. The emergence of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. The defensive prowess off the bench of Marcus Smart and Rozier. Marcus Morris up front playing quality minutes along with Al Horford, who tends to get overlooked in many dynamics when you talk about really nice bigs in the game. It's so impressive to see what they've done. Hopefully it can continue for a really long time, except I think it ends tonight at Miami. It's a scheduling loss. Hassan Whiteside is going to be hanging on the rim consistently. And anytime you go to Miami, that's home field advantage to the Heat basketball team.
All right, so this is a win for South Beach.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
No question about it.
About the only thing to stop those Celtics. Let's talk about the 7-9 Thunder. You win a lot of bets if you said that Steven Adams was a team leader in player efficiency rating at 21.3. What are you seeing when you see this team? What's standing out to you the most about why they're struggling so much this season?
Mr. Smith, what stands out to me is that you have three players that all want the same thing, eagerly to win a championship. Russell Westbrook has been to the finals, conference finals a couple of times, the reigning league MVP. Paul George, couple of conference finals in Indiana, free agent after this year. Maybe he's staying in OKC, is willing to do what it takes. Carmelo Anthony, a new position in the Western Conference. They're not closing basketball games. They truly struggle in the clutch. They've been really good on the defensive end, especially getting steals, but struggling in the clutch. And here's why. You can't take turns in basketball. It's not like in rec when you come down across half court, be like, hey, I'm giving it to you, it's your turn. So Russell has to establish as the point guard, though he really wants to keep those guys happy, that in transition, in open floor situations, I'm going to be the lead dog. When we setting it up, I think they should be trying to find Paul George. And then that third option should be Carmelo Anthony when he has matchups that he can take advantage of. Until that pecking order is established, they're going to struggle.
All right, they're like a singing group that's a little bit off key. Let's talk about the Lakers and Kings, which is the nightcap here on ESPN. Lonzo Ball, he's still struggling with his shooting here in his rookie season. Now, Jalen, you always are somebody who comes up with provocative player comparison. So what's a realistic ceiling for Lonzo Ball as a player? Who would you most compare him to?
So I saw a lot of individuals talking in the microphones and on televisions and wanted to compare him to Jason Kidd. And I was like, pump the brakes, please. Everybody slow it down. Jason Kidd was stronger. He was faster. The future Hall of Famer locked down on defense, and he was tenacious the entire time he played. He just didn't talk much. The only thing they had in common is that they both didn't knock down jump shots. I said a more realistic comparison was Ricky Rubio. They both are pass-first players. They are cerebral in the fact that they get teammates involved. They give up good shots to get great shots, and they're not going to beat you with their jump shot. And so if he's able to play basketball in the league for a long time, which I predict, and make millions of dollars playing basketball, it's not a diss to being Ricky Rubio, especially when you look at those two individual stats. They're really comparable at this point of their careers.
All right, let's stay in L.A. with the struggling Clippers. What kind of impact will the loss of Patrick Beverley have on that team?
Major loss. This Clippers team, unfortunately, looks like it's on a collision course to unfortunately put Doc Rivers in a position to lose his job. In the offseason, they lost a few pillars in the backcourt that people will talk about CP3, and rightfully so, the playmaker that'll get you 18 and also set it up for everybody else. But they also lost their prime shooter in J.J. Redick. They also lost a one-on-one force in Jamal Crawford, who was big late. And who did they replace them with? Teodosic, he's injured. Patrick Beverley, he's injured. Gallinari, he's injured and has been so the last couple of seasons. So based on that, you have Blake, you have DeAndre. You think when you floor that team along with Lou Williams and Austin Rivers that you shouldn't lose 9 straight, 11 out of 12. But unfortunately for their fan base, it has happened. And I see a scenario, unfortunately, that it may end up costing Doc Rivers his job.
Yeah, interesting. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about, how refreshing it was for Chris Paul to be gone and the culture and this, that, and the other when they were riding high. And then Patrick Beverley with the same complaints after the Knicks game about maturity and selfishness. So in the immortal words of Jeffrey Osborne, it takes separation to bring appreciation. So there's that. Jalen Rose, appreciate you, man. See you later on Countdown.
I love you both. Y'all killing it on the 6.
All right. Now, talked about Jalen's player comparison as well. A lot of people compare Joel Embiid to Hakeem Olajuwon yesterday. We showed you part 1 of our interview with the Sixers big man. Here's part 2, where we asked him about that comparison to the Dream. When I watch you, I am so reminded of Hakeem Olajuwon. And I know that's a comparison that you've heard a lot. You're averaging 22 and 11. When you hear yourself compared to somebody like the Dream, how does that make you feel?
Oh, it makes me feel great. When I started playing basketball at 16, the first tape that I got was Hakeem. It was like a mini movie on Hakeem. It was about 45 to an hour long. So I literally watched that tape from that day to probably my freshman year in college. I literally almost every single day just like trying to watch him, like everything he did, the moves he did, and go to the gym and try to repeat them. So to have people compare me to him, I think is great, but I think I have a long way to go, and I'm going to do my best to reach that level.
The other night against the Lakers, you put up an incomparable stat line, as you know. But afterwards, you said you were 69%, I believe, was the exact number you put yourself at. Where are you right now?
See, you can't even get it out.
I can't be serious with you, man.
I was talking about we were basically talking about my condition level,
right.
But I think he's getting there. He's getting there. I think I'm at 81%.
81?
Okay. You are randomly picking numbers. Just don't even mess with this. You are randomly picking numbers right now. Now, it's clear, though, regardless of what percentage that you're at, that you have a certain level of chemistry with Ben Simmons on the court. But off the court, in reading about you two, you all seem to be quite different. So how are you trying to maybe bridge that gap and maybe make that connection off the court, the same one that you have on the court? Like, you guys are a lot different.
I think it's all fake news. We all close, as I'm close with all my teammates. We all going together. We all so young, so we do stuff. Especially when we're on the road, we go to dinners, and I've been talking about it with Coach too. I think it's gonna come to a point that people are gonna try to separate us, talking about like whose team it is and who's better than the other. But we just gotta stick together, and in the future we're gonna dominate. And I think we've already showed a lot of flashes of dominance, so I can't wait to keep going with them.
That's pretty wise beyond your years to know that day is coming when people are going to try to anoint one over the other. Jahlil Okafor, just almost like a forgotten guy. His dad was photographed with a T-shirt saying, free Ja. Some of the Warriors, I believe, took pictures. What kind of relationship do you guys have with Jahlil Okafor, given his uncertain situation?
Jahlil is actually one of the guys I'm really, really close to. What I like about him is that he hasn't been a distraction to the team. He could have easily acted like go out there and be like, I want to get further, I don't want to be here, but he hasn't done that just because he's a great guy. Obviously want to play, and coach and the front office, they have a different agenda. As the franchise player, I try to find ways to help him too, and talk to the owners, talk to the GM, the coaches about the situation, because I know he wants to play.
Now, as you know, Joel, this week is Thanksgiving, and a lot of families getting together, celebrating. You have a foundation, the Arthur Embiid and Angels Foundation, and you all are running a campaign for the holidays. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'm from, first of all, I'm from Cameroon, which is in Africa. And growing up, it was, I had the luxury to not be as poor as other kids that I saw around me, or generally in Africa. So, my goal is just just go out there and help as many people as I can, and through my foundation, with the help of UNICEF, I think that's the goal, and I can't wait to keep going that, and hopefully reach to a certain level where we can build a lot of stuff like hospitals, schools, and all that.
Joel Embiid, brilliant on and off the court. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for letting us use the beat button.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Happy Thanksgiving, Coach.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
See, they did a segment earlier on NFL Live where you guys talked about Thanksgiving food. So, Herm, you are known to settle great food debates. Stuffing or dressing?
Dressing.
That took you too long to answer.
No, dressing.
There's only one answer. It's dressing.
According to who's making it. right? Let's make that perfectly clear. Yeah, I've been to a couple of them Thanksgiving dinners. We go, man, I'm not having sex. I got to go another one. That's when I know I'm going to somebody's house where I know it's kind of could be shaky. Right. I always got a second. I got that second line up. Yeah, I got to back. Oh, I got to go to somebody else's house.
Okay.
We used to call that passing around there.
Yeah,
I'm a pass around there. You know who's been eating a lot lately? The Vikings. 6 straight.
Yes, they have. Since they lost to Detroit.
Exactly. Look at you taking the words right out of my mouth. For some reason, under Mike Zimmer, they can't score against Detroit. I think they're averaging about 15.3 points to be exact in this matchup. How did the Vikings reverse that trend and win in Detroit, which is their Super Bowl in Detroit, that Thanksgiving Day matchup?
Yeah, it's very important, and I think they got to get off to a lead. You know, this Viking team, as good as it is at times, it doesn't put up points early. And if you play Detroit, especially on Thanksgiving, it's a whole different atmosphere. Now, they know that. This is kind of their deal. They're the original Thanksgiving Day game, the Detroit Lions. When no one else won in the National Football League, Detroit raised their hand. We'll do it. Right. We will do this game. Now it's become, you want to play on that day. And if you look at Detroit, they've got one up on Minnesota already because they beat them earlier this season, right?
14-7. Yeah.
But here's the deal for Detroit, and Minnesota knows this. If they possess the ball late in the game, that guy Stafford, he can beat you. They are a good fourth quarter football team. And I think that's what Minnesota fears the most. If we get into one of these games, we better make sure we have points, because if we don't, that Matthew Stafford, that guy can catch us.
Yeah, this is a bit of a departure, though, for Detroit, because this is a very meaningful Thanksgiving game when you look at the NFC playoff picture. All right, let's ask about one of the other Thanksgiving matchups. Coming off a 37-9 divisional loss at home to the Eagles, the Cowboys have now lost back-to-back games by 20 points for the first time since 2004. The Chargers are up next, and they have a defense that's forced 15 turnovers, including 11 picks since Week 5, tied for most in the NFL. Now here's Dak on the challenge that lies ahead.
They're great. They complement each other. They might have the highest motor of anybody we've played between them two, of consistently every play, not taking a play off, and getting after it, no matter if it's the run or the pass, so they can be disruptive and a good front. We want to get touchdowns. I mean, we got in the red zone 3 times this last game and didn't convert, so that's problems in itself. So, I mean, we'll just keep working, we'll keep fighting and figuring out what it is and getting better.
Now, Herm, because of how this team has kind of fallen apart since the loss of Ezekiel Elliott, of course, that naturally shifted the conversation back to Dak Prescott. Is this really, especially given what's at stake in this game, because it seems like if they lose this game, it's going south.
Yes.
But is this really all on Dak this week against the Chargers?
It's not, but he's the star. That's the problem. He plays for the star, and he's the star of the team. And right now, they got to create an offense, first of all, that will protect him. How do they do that? They got to move the pocket some. They cannot allow him to drop back and take 5-step drops. You got to get it out of his hand quickly. Spread him out. I think this too. Run the option.
Run the option?
Yes.
Okay.
Make Bosa and Ingram have to sit there and play the quarterback on the dive. They're not used to doing. They don't want to do that. Get them out of their comfort zone of, you know what, it's 3rd and 8. Guess what? We get to run and hit the quarterback, because that's what they're going to do. So I think if you're Dallas, you have to come up with a unique game plan to keep them at bay, to keep these guys that want to get upfield, to make them slow down some and say, well, wait a minute now, he could be running this, they could be doing this. That gives you time to get rid of the ball.
22 possessions the last 2 games, 1 touchdown. That was on a 21-yard drive after a takeaway against the Falcons. No Tyron Smith as well, besides Ezekiel Elliott. Do you buy the talk that Dak is being, quote-unquote, exposed?
No. Like most quarterbacks, and I would say 90% of them, they need help around them, okay? They need people to help facilitate what they do. He is not able at this point in time as a young quarterback to put the team on his back. I will ask you this. Who scares you on that offense when Zeke is not in the lineup? Does Dez Bryant?
Not anymore.
Does Jason Witten? Does Beasley? That's the problem. Teams know that. So they say, guess what? If we just load the box up, we can play out here because we're fine. And they can't protect him. When the runner's back there, now you have the most explosive player on offense on your side. And now it makes you nervous. You got to play defense different. So that doesn't help him. All these are factors. You know, people don't, well, it's all on him. It's all on him. He's a young quarterback. He needs help right now. He can't do it by himself. Look, Dez is still a fantastic player, but he's not the player he was 3 or 4 years ago. Witten is not the same guy. The runner made everyone better. Most runners do.
Can't get sacked 12 times, 2 games either. That didn't help.
That didn't help.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Herman.
Thank you for your help.
Happy
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
You guys have the same. Watch out for the gravy.
All right, here is what we call good versus better. Bulls guard Antonio Blakeney's dunk was good. Stacey King's call, better.
Rebound, or the loose ball rather, comes ahead. Blakeney dunks one with the right
Does anybody know how to post videos to Facebook? Whoa!
15 and 18 off the bench.
Yeah, he was excitable. So head coach Chuck Pagano said his favorite Thanksgiving meal, not turkey, not any of the usual stuff, spaghetti and meatballs.
You like what you like?
No, Mike. First of all, I already have an issue with people who think spaghetti is a side dish. That's number one. All right, you ever do fish and spaghetti? Is that ever a thing?
Fish and spaghetti, no.
No?
Never.
Is that a Midwest, just like Detroit thing?
It depends on how it's made. The spaghetti, it could be a side dish. Just I'm looking forward to buffalo mac and cheese.
Ooh, who's making that?
Cognac, sweet potatoes, and
What?
my personal can of jellied cranberry sauce.
Yeah, not
that
the
nasty
berries.
stuff.
Not the berries. And not even homemade. It's like you got to go jellied, otherwise.
Processed.
Right.
Chemical. Apparently, Russell Wilson really likes Sierra putting on his high school jersey.
And the lady puts on the high school jersey, though. Girl, you look good in that jersey.
Oh, gosh, babe. So funny.
Girl, if I would have known you in high school, we would have about 6 of these kids.
Hey, stop. Okay, stop this. In this video.
He's so cute.
Y'all got jokes about Russ. It worked.
I'm saying, right?
It worked.
They always like to clown him and all that. Like, look.
Low-key MVP candidate. Let me nerd out for a second.
Okay.
82% of his team scrimmage yards by him, highest in the last 20 years. But seriously, sound like there's some kids in the background. You got to be careful when it comes to the flirting.
They probably, a little too young. They didn't pick up on that, right?
Yeah, we'll finish this later. That's what we'll finish this.
Okay. One of the internet's favorite things of the last couple of days has been Mike Bray's coaching attire in Maui. Like, where you going?
Coach basketball in Maui.
With khaki
Maybe
shorts.
going to the beach afterwards. Be comfortable.
He is.
I got no problem with it. I love the people who are like fashion consultants from their couch in their mom's basement in their drawers.
I think that part of it is one of those things where you're so shocked because he's always like in a suit or something like that. It's kind of like when you would see your teacher outside of school and she had on like non-teacher gear. And you just
or like Miss Davis in Varsity Blues.
See? Why'd you have to take it there?
Teacher outside of school moments.
All right. My man, Mike Leach. Deep thought. Look into the light, Mike. Look into the light. Who knows where he was looking, but maybe he did that because he comes up with things like this. Take a listen.
Coach, I'm getting married in 9 days. Can you impart some wisdom on for my fiance and I?
Well, it's too late to rescue you. My wisdom would be you have to stay out of the way. Now, and I wish you a very happy marriage, and I'm sure you'll have one. But I'm just telling you, when it comes to marriages, the women lose their mind. Your fiance's going to lose her mind. Your mom is going to lose her mind. Several of your sisters and female relatives are going to lose their mind. They're going to barrage you with constant questions. What should we wear? Which, of course, my answer was, I don't care. What color should the invitations be? I don't care. What should we have for dessert? I don't care. But see, I don't care is not satisfactory at all. And you're going to get caught in a catch-22, and I'm certain that you already have. And that catch-22 is, well, I want you to be a part of this too. So what color invitations? All right, the blue ones. Well, I kind of like the tan ones. Okay, the tan ones then. Oh, you're just saying that because you want this over with. You're not even thinking about it, which is, of course, true. There's no answer you can give that is going to be satisfactory or correct. And if you successfully please a few of them, the others will still be, oh, well, I just don't feel like he's that interested. Yeah, okay, so you need to work late, go in the back room and read a lot of books. And in the end, you'll wish you eloped.
I can't say that his advice was wrong.
There's nothing to add. I can't stand people who try to preach after a good sermon, so I'm going to let that speak for itself.
But you were not that way with your wedding, right? You wanted
It's going to surprise you, but I was a bit of a control freak for my wedding.
Shocking.
Props to the person who asked the question.
I know, right?
I don't know what made him think to do that, but to solicit one of the greatest answers in press conference history, all facts from Mike Lee. All right, Jemele, who had a good day besides you, Emmy winner?
Great job for the Cavs, or by the Cavs rather, handing out Thanksgiving meals to the homeless and then taking this R&B-esque photo. Jodeci, be jealous.
Along those same lines, shout out to 19-year-old Jared Allen of the Nets. He helped 25 middle schoolers in Queens do some Thanksgiving shopping. $70, but they had to do it according to a budget. That's it for us. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. We'll see y'all next week.